Hello, hello, hello. How y'all doing out there today? Hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday thus far. Get my stuff lined up here. Go. How you doing, Miss Alicia? Hope everything's going good and you and that grandbaby is doing okay down there. Actually, I hope y'all are doing great down there in Dixon. I'll just give a couple of minutes, see who else want to join, then we'll go ahead and get started. That thing. And Miss Elisa, I still ain't forgot about your offer for your desk. I just have not been down in Dixon. I have not been. Oh, tired. I feel on that. I'm tired too. I had a good weekend, good Father's Day weekend, but man, it was a long, busy weekend. So I am with you. Hopefully you can make it through. Hope I don't bore you to death. You pass out on me. But if so, the good thing is this video. Just go back and watch it later. But I will, next time I'm in Dixon, I will stop by and look at that desk that you were telling me about. And I definitely appreciate your offer. Just haven't been out that way. I'm working with a guy in the Hope Center, and I do drug counseling over there, and it's in Camden, which is out west. And one of the part of my counseling is trying to get the people to be sold, just like I always talk about with you guys on here, try to get them more involved in soul winning, because nothing builds your relationship with the Lord more than telling other people about the Lord. So I try to get them involved in soul winning. So since it's out west, I've been doing, and been going every Saturday. I've been doing most of my soul winning out west. So I haven't been over out east in the Dixon area. But whenever I have a day, and sometimes on Saturday they have like activities and stuff they go to. So whenever I have a day where me and him will go out, I would definitely try to make it to Dixon and get to come your way and see the desk. And like I said, again, I appreciate the offer, because this little one, you see, I'm always scrambling around doing stuff because the desk is so small. But hey, I make it work. That's one thing I learned serving the Lord is just make whatever He gives you, be happy with it, be content, and make it work. So as long as y'all willing to put up with me, I'm willing to be here. Let me get my phone charge out. Thought I had got to grab that out already. Usually have it out already. But give people time to get in here before we really just jump into this. So tonight we're going to be in, if you want to go ahead and turn your Bibles, we're going to be in 1 Samuel chapter 11. We're going to actually finish it up tonight. We will finish it up tonight because there's only 3 points left. I don't think there's no way, well, I ain't going to say it, there's no way possible. But there's no way I should be able to drag out these 3 points. They're not 3 long points. You might actually get a short lesson tonight, but I don't want to give y'all 2 short lessons in a row, then y'all get all spoiled and be expecting to have them short lessons all the time. But it should be fine. Now I got to straighten it back up. I had to hook that up. I think that's straight. That should. It probably messes with me more than it messes with y'all, my OCD self. All right. Get some of this glare off my forehead a little bit. Sheesh. All right, so go ahead and jump into it. Got a little bit of review because this is part 3. So I got a little bit of review from last week. But like I said, we're going to be in 1 Samuel chapter 11. Going to go ahead and finish that up. And I was going to go ahead and start chapter 12 too. But it's a little bit of a different aspect. It kind of gets away from the will of God, so to speak, a little bit. So it's a little bit of a different aspect. Is in the title of the chapter 12 is Samuel farewell address. So this is Samuel, it's kind of his last word, so to speak. Even though he's gonna write a whole nother book, but it's just like his farewell address to Israel, before he write this other book, which is weird. But it's a little bit different. So I'm gonna wait and just go ahead and finish up 11 tonight, and then we'll, Lord willing, next Monday we come back and we'll start number 12. Y'all might know I got me a new cup. This one is green. Hopefully I won't crush it like I did my silver cup. But this is one of my Father's Day gifts. My baby's got to keep me hydrated. Oh, dang, this thing is still off to me. Got it. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the lesson tonight. I'm going to go ahead and do the review real quick. So again, thank you everybody for showing up that's here. This is John Stewart on behalf of Lost Sheep Ministries, sponsored by River Lake Baptist Church, here to bring out a lesson tonight. Actually finish up a lesson that we've been going on for the last couple of weeks. And the title of the lesson has been The Demands of the Will of God. And, you know, of course, I've been talking about the will of God and how important it is to follow the will of God, the success that comes along with following the will of God. But I wanted to kind of give you a warning, so to speak, not to scare you off. And I think I've said that in a couple of other couple of videos, not to scare you off, but just kind of let you know what to expect. You know, because a lot of times, and I think I mentioned this when I first started. When I first started serving the Lord and first really started getting His will, you know, I was thinking it was going to be all hunky-dory. And, oh, man, I'm serving the Lord. He's God. He can control everything. We're buddies and pals now, so it's going to be great. And I was just, I misunderstood the assignment, so to speak. You know, I was not deceived, but I was sadly mistaken in thinking that. You know, so that's why I wanted to give you guys a warning, because like I said, I've been talking about the will of God so much. If you've been following the videos and watching them, you're like, oh man, I want a part of that. And like I said, that's a good thing to do. That's where you want to be. Definitely where you want to be. But these last couple of lessons I've been doing, and of course we're going to finish up tonight, we're trying to just give you an understanding of, okay, what that entails. You know, yes, the success is going to be there if you follow God's will. The strength, the blessings, all those things are going to be there. But there's also going to be some hurdles that's going to be there as well. Because this world, like I told y'all before, this world want to do everything it can to keep you out of the will of God. They want to do everything it can to keep you from having that close relationship with God, close walk with God, and being in His perfect will. Because if you're in God's perfect will, then you have God's power in your life, and the world does not want that. So that's why these last few weeks I've just taken a little time. Like I said, all the first few weeks, last couple of months, actually, a few months, I've been going over the will of God and the importance of it and the success and all the blessings that come from it. But now I'm wanting, like I said, just give you kind of heads up of what to expect when you get into that will. So last week, the lesson last week, this is lesson was part 2 from last week. Number 5 was point number 5, but it was in lesson number 2. The point was, because you are weak, because you are meek, you may be considered weak. You know, it is like, you know, and I talked about how you got to let your meekness outweigh your anger. You know, and of course, meekness is, you know, that ability that we have as Christians, especially in the will of God, to kind of let stuff slide. You know, stuff that, you know, people would be disrespectful. You know, I kind of talked about that last week. They're going to be disrespectful. Basically, your gangster is going to be tested on a regular basis. You know, they always look at Christians as being weak because we have to turn the other cheek, and instead of, you know, reacting in our flesh, we react in our spirit, and they look upon us as that being a weakness, when really there's strength. It's strength to really hold back what somebody really deserves. And that's really what, and the reason why it's important that you be able to do that, because that's what God does for us. That's what mercy is. That's mercy that God shows us on every day is the only reason why we're able to survive, the only reason why we're here. Because we actually deserve, all of us deserve hell. You know, that's what we deserve. And we deserve whatever punishment the Lord throws, especially the way this country is going right now. Whatever happens, you know, whatever catastrophe that can possibly happen, we really couldn't be mad. If you were realistic, you couldn't be mad at God for it, because we deserve it. But He holds those things back because of His meekness. And so us trying to follow His steps, especially we trying to follow His will, we got to have the same meekness. So we have to let a lot of stuff slide. So like I said, you know, so your gangster is going to be tested. If you're going to serve the Lord and you're going to do it wholeheartedly, and sometimes it's just tested. I mean, people will purposely test you and try to poke at you to get you to act in your flesh. Once they find out you're a preacher, they say stuff around you that they know is not cool, not kosher. I mean, they do things to test you. So you got to understand that's a part of it. If you're going to really put it out there that you're serving God's will, you're going to really put out there that you're going to be a minister or whatnot, then be prepared to be tested by this world. You know what I'm saying? Your gangster's going to be tested. And I think I use the example of like, it's like being a man with daughters. You know, your daughters test your gangster all the time. My gangster is tested on a daily basis. So I'm prepared for the work. God is preparing me for the work with these 2 crazy little girls that He's given me. So that was number 5 from last week. Again, if you want to go back and watch the video from last week, is right now I haven't gotten on to my YouTube page yet. I'm having an issue with my computer. I let my brother use it, and he downloaded some stuff, and I just want to make sure that it's all good and taken care of before I get back to working on the computer, because I don't want my Facebook page to get hacked, and then I got to redo another Facebook page and lose some of my viewers or whatnot. So, but I will work on that shit. We can get that taken care of this week. So number 5 from last week, again, if you want to see that video, go back and watch my Facebook. It's called The Demands of the Will of God Part 2. So that was number 5 from last week. Because you are meek, you may be considered weak. Your gangster will be tested. So number 6 from last week, you have to be confident in your beliefs and your calling. You have to be confident. So like I said, I was talking about meekness in point number 5, and then in 6, I made the statement, you can be meek, but you can't be weak. In other words, you can be meek. You can, be forgiven, allow, the discretions of the mishaps of others. Don't let it get under your skin and all that. But you have to be confident in what you're doing. You got to be confident that it's in God's will for you to do this thing. You have to keep that confidence, because people are not going to follow you if you're not confident. And I kind of talked about knowing that you're saved. There's a lot of churches that teach that you can lose your salvation. And if you think you can lose your salvation, then you'll never be confident in your salvation. So if you're never confident in your salvation, how can you be confident to tell somebody else what they need to know how to get saved? I mean, really, if you think about it logically, it don't even make sense if you really think about it. But that goes on. Within the churches itself, you got churches that teach that you can lose your salvation. And again, if you're thinking that you can lose your salvation, how can you be confident enough to tell somebody else? You got to have confidence. Us men, that's something us men know. If you want to talk to a woman, want to approach a woman, you got to be confident. You don't want to be arrogant. Now, being arrogant, that's another thing. You just know everything and you don't listen to nobody. That's another thing. But you got to be confident. And that's what the women look for. They look for confidence, not arrogance. Some women are attracted to arrogance, but, to each his own. But most women, they're looking for somebody confident, confident, even if you might be ugly, you might be ugly, but you're confident and ugly. But they want that confidence, because people will follow you if they see that you are confident in your knowledge, if you're confident in your wisdom, you're confident in your ability, but more importantly, if you're confident that the fear of the Lord is upon you. And that's what we saw with Saul. Y'all remember the story that was going through. Remember, this is Saul after he had got anointed. He had been anointed king, and the situation arose where some people on the east side of the Jordan River, they was being oppressed by this king of the Ammonites, and then they had escaped. And then when they came over to the west side, this king kind of followed them and tried to come over and impress them again. And they called out to Saul and asked Saul to basically come save them. And Saul got upset about it. And he cut up because he was plowing in the field, and he cut up the oxen that he was plowing with and sent it out like, if you don't come and support this war, you don't come and and report support your country. Basically, this is what's going to happen to all your cattle. So he had to be pretty confident in order for him to put out something like that, because people could have laughed at it. You got to think about it. He was the first king. This was his first big move, so to speak. How when we get new presidents or whatever, they always focus on their first 100 days in office kind of thing. So this is kind of the same situation. This is one of his first 100 days in office that he got this big thing come up. How is he going to handle it? And he handled it with confidence. And we can see, because if you remember, it says once when he sent that message out, it said all the people was afraid of Saul's anger, and all of them came out together as one. And when Saul mobilized them at Bezek, he found that there were 300,000 men of Israel, in addition to 30,000 from Judah. So again, they followed him because he was confident in what he was doing. He was confident in the will of God. He was confident that the fear of the Lord was on him. And of course, in King James Version, it said the fear of the Lord came upon the people, which is why they was afraid of Saul. So again, you have to be confident in your beliefs and your calling. You can be meek, but you can't be weak. If you're not confident, it's going to be hard for you to lead the people, because the people are not going to want to follow you, because you're not even sure about the things that you're teaching yourself. So number 5, because you're meek, you may be considered weak. And number 6 from last week was you have to be confident in your beliefs and your calling. And then number 7, which was the only 3 that we covered last week, was you have to take on if you're going to do the will of God, one of the demands is you have to take on the problems and responsibilities of others. And I just talked about, me, the irony of me being somebody that hates drama and hate dealing with drama, hate getting involved in drama. And yet, me being a minister, I'm always having to take on the drum of others. That's kind of part of it. And you got to understand, you can't, if you're going to do God's work, God's business is people business. And so you really have to get in people business if it's exposed to you. It's one thing just being nosy and going to stupid around and, that's one thing. But once it's brought to you, like I told you, in the position I'm in, if something is brought to me that's being done wrong, I have to act on it as a child of God. I can't just be like, oh, that's tough for them, and just let it slide. Like, if something is brought to my attention that somebody's being done wrong, kids in an abusive relationship, in an abusive home, anything of that nature, once it's brought to my attention, I have to act on it. I have to get involved. Now, again, I don't go looking for it, but if it comes to me, then I do have to get involved. So you got to understand, if you're going to do God's work, then you're going to have to be involved in the problem of others. And I've told y'all, several of y'all have done it yourselves. Y'all call me up. Hey, I got this going on. I need you to pray for me. Could you do? And I do anything. I'm kind of resourceful. I know a lot of people because I'm always talking to people. So I can do anything I can. If there's anything I can do to help people, I always try to do that. If I can make some phone calls or something. But something's going to happen that's going to get me involved. And you got to understand, if you're going to be involved in the will of God, you're going to be involved in doing God's work, then you're going to be involved in the lives of others. So sometimes you're going to have to take on the problem and responsibilities of others. And I think I also use the example of me, I legally adopted both of my brothers. They weren't my responsibility. They were my parents' responsibility, but I ended up taking on them because, again, it was all in the will of God. So again, number 7 from last week, you have to take on the problems and responsibilities of others. That's one of the demands of being in the will of God, taking on the responsibilities of others. And again, I think I'll use the example also, if people out here wilding out, partying, drinking, and doing all they can and living the life of sin, and they're not saved, then really, that's not my problem. I can care less. I'm saved. I'm going to heaven. I can really care less. But again, because I've given my heart to serving the Lord, because I've given my heart over to God's will, it becomes my problem because it's God's problem. So God's problem becomes my problem. So as a minister, if God's problem becomes my problem, then your problem becomes my problem because I'm representing the Lord. So that was number 7 from last week, and that was just a quick review of last week. So again, if you got your Bibles open, we're going to start over in 1 Samuel chapter 11. I believe we're going to start at verse 10. So it's only like 14 verses, 3 more points. Should be quick and easy, but I ain't making no promises because y'all know how it gets down. That spirit take over sometime, and I just get to going. But I'm not going to try to do that. I'm not going to hold y'all if I don't have to. But I do, again, want to make sure y'all understand the concepts of what's going to come up as you serve the Lord, because I don't want you to be blindsided with it like I was. And luckily, it was in my heart to do it, so I just stuck with it anyway. But if I can spare y'all from having to learn that hard lesson, then hopefully I can do so through doing this lesson with y'all tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pray, and then I'm going to jump into this lesson, all right? Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for watching over us today. Thank you so much for bringing us all home safely. Some people might still be at work and listen to me on their phone at work or whatnot. But thank you for letting me have a good, safe day at work, good, safe, productive day at work, and being able to make it back home tonight now to do this lesson, Lord. Thank you so much for shining your love and grace down upon me always. Thank you for putting these words into my heart and my mind, Lord, and giving me the wisdom to share with others. And just help them see these lessons. These are not just sermons. They help them see the difference between the preacher and the teacher. And I am preaching. I think I'm more of a teacher than a preacher, which is why my lessons extend the way out, because I want to make sure they understand, not just hear the concept and be like, that's a good concept, I should do something. I want them to have that thought, but I also want to teach them what they need to do, what exactly that you're calling upon them to do so they can honor and glorify your name and build your kingdom. So, Lord, I pray you just be with us tonight. As we go through this lesson, see your spirit down upon me as always, so you can use me to get these truths out, these truths of your word out to the people that's listening. And I pray you send your spirit down upon their hearts as well, so they may be willing to accept this wisdom and accept the words that are being spoken here tonight. And if it's something they're doing and they're not doing, they come under conviction about it, get them the discretion to make that decision to correct that wrong. You know, either start doing something they supposed to be doing, or stop doing something they shouldn't be doing. But either way, Lord, I pray that after we lead a session in light, after the people watch the videos, that they will be a different person, a better person, someone that has a closer relationship with you, because they was willing to accept the wisdom that was given here and shared here tonight by your Spirit. So we just thank you for this session. Ask you to take over as always. Be with me to guide the people in the right direction, and just use us all so we can be greater, better Christians after after this time together here tonight. We love you and thank you for all you've done and given. Say this prayer in your wonderful Son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Give me some of this high quality H2O. And we'll go ahead and get started. So again, I already kind of gave you like a preview where we were as far as with the situation where we're in. So again, Saul has mobilized the army. He's mobilized the army, called all the people together, got the army mobilized. So now he's about to go help these people from Jabesh Gilead, who's being oppressed by this king of the Ammonites. So again, we're gonna start over in First Samuel chapter 11. Verse 10, and of course, I always throw my little disclaimer out there. I am a King James believer, but this is the Lost Sheep Ministry, so it's for people that don't quite have that close relationship with the Lord just yet. So I always read out the New Living Translation just to put it in plain English so everybody can understand what's being said, because again, everything I'm doing is to help you build your relationship with God. And you can't build your relationship with God if you don't understand what God is saying to you. So I'm not being a heretic. I'm just doing this for my people, because that's why it's called the Lost Sheep Ministry. So with that being said, over in verse 10, the Lord tells us this. So again, Saul is in a situation. He's mobilized the army. He's already sent the message back to Jabesh Gilead and said, hey, I'm on my way to come get you. Y'all gonna hold on. I'm gonna come and rescue tomorrow. And that's what gave us point number 7, where it said we're taking on the responsibilities and the problems of others. So then in verse 10, we see the Lord tells us this. He says, so the men of Jabesh Gilead, Jabesh, then told their enemies, tomorrow we will come out to you, and you can do it to us as you wish. But before dawn the next morning, Saul arrived. Having divided his army into 3 detachments, he launched a surprise attack against the Ammonites and slaughtered them the whole morning. And the remnant of their army was so badly scattered that no 2 of them were left together. So what happened? They got the victory. He got the victory. Saul was confident. We saw a little bit number 6. He was confident in his ability. At first he kind of tried to shy away from the calling that the Lord had for him, but he finally got confident. So he went and launched a surprise attack, and he got this victory. So that's going to take us to number 8. Number 8 is this: if you're going to be in the will of God, if you're going to serve the will of God, you're going to stay in the will of God. This is another thing that you're going to have to understand, that you're going to have to be able to do. So number 8 is this: you have to be able to operate off of wisdom and discretion and not emotion. You can't operate, when you're going to do God's work, you cannot operate off emotion. Because like I told you in the other point, your gates are going to be tested. And see, and that's kind of goes along with that one a little bit. Number 5, your gates are going to be tested. So if you're an emotional person, and all somebody got to do is say the right thing, or, to rub you the wrong way, and you go on, then it's going to be hard for you to do God's work, because people are going to try you. They're going to poke at you. They're going to try to throw things at you. You cannot operate off your emotion, because you got to understand, if you're not able to operate off your emotion, you got to be able to keep your wits about you. You got to, no matter what. There was a poem. I remember when I was pledging. It was called See It Through, I believe. I think it was about Rudyard Kipling. I might be saying it wrong. It was called See It Through. And one of the lines in that poem that stuck with me, I don't remember most of it, but one of the lines of that poem was talking about how, when basically saying, like, when everybody else around you, when their wits are failing, you got to be able to keep your own. And you know what I'm saying? Because that's important, because you being able to keep your wits, especially in highly intense situation, especially in a highly emotional situation, your ability to be able to still keep your wits about you sometimes can determine it can be the determining factor in whether you're going to get the victory or you're going to have to suffer defeat. And see, this is what happened with Saul, because you think about it. This is his first, real, like I said, first big thing he doing as king, and we're going to see how big it is in the next little verse here. Very first thing, first trial as king, so to speak, trial by fire as king, and he heard that his people his relatives on the east side of Jordan, already all their eyes are missing. And now this guy has the nerves, the audacity to come over here on the west side and try to do the same thing. So, I mean, if I'm a king, I'm feeling like I'm being tested. And I'm going to be upset. What you saw, he was upset because, he said he was upset because he chopped his oxen up and sent it off to everybody. Like, if you don't come here, this is going to happen to your oxen. So he was upset. But at the same time, he said what he did, said he arrived having divided his army into 3 detachments. He launched a surprise attack against the Ammonites and slaughtered them the whole morning. And the remnant of their army was so bad and scattered that no 2 of them were left together. So you see, yes, he was upset. He was mad, but he kept his wits about him. He didn't just go charging. He was so upset that he just went charging into the battle, not having any kind of game plan, no kind of battle plan. He just, he was upset, but he still kept his wits about him. And it shows you how his, at this point, how close he was in his relationship with the Lord. Because the only way you're going to be able to have wisdom is through the Lord. So it shows you because he kept his wits about him, that gave him the victory. Because he just went in there, got upset, and just went in there, guns ablazing, so to speak, it might not have worked out like that. He might have actually took that L. But because he took the time, he kept his wits about him, took the time, and yes, it was, you got to think about it, was happening quickly too, because if you remember, I don't know, because we read this part last week, but if you watched the video last week and you remember when we went through this, you remember the guys from G Beach, they only had a day. You know what I'm saying? Because the king was getting ready to conquer them, and they like, hey, just give us a day and see if anybody can come help. So they only had a day, but even though he only had a short amount of time to act, he still acted in a wise way. He didn't do it emotionally. And you got to understand, sometimes if you can't, I got wrote down here, you have to be able to keep your wits about you. It can be the difference between victory and defeat. You know what I'm saying? And if you ever played any sports or watched sports or anything, y'all often seen, if you played or watched sports, you've seen the trash talking. And some people that have never played sports and they see people trash talk like, man, why they got to do all that? Why they can't just play the game? You got to understand what those people are trying to do. They're trying to get that person emotionally involved. That's why you see when you're watching sports, basketball or football, or whatever. That's why you see the guy taunting the other guy. That's why you see him, smack, jawing in his ear and talking smack to him, because he's trying to get him to get to lose his wits. He's trying to get him to get emotionally involved. Because if you get emotionally involved in something and they can get to your emotions, then you're going to react unwisely. And when you react unwisely, 9 times 10, you're going to react out of emotion. You're going to react out of anger or spite or whatever. And when you do that, that's when you make that mistake. Matter of fact, if you watch something me and my daughters watch all the time, we watch we love like CSI and SVU. We watch that, like all them kind of cop shows where they trying to catch killers and murderers and rapists and stuff like that. We love watching those. What's the one I'm trying to think of? It was, I can't think of it. We watched all of it. Criminal Minds came to me. Criminal Minds. And a lot of times with the guys, the Criminal Minds, they're like psychology detectives or whatever. They can basically, look at the scene of the crime, figure out and they mostly deal with serial killers. So they would look at the scene of crime and figure out the psychology of this person. And they try to figure out what they can do to push these people buttons. Because there was some of them that was doing it because they liked the attention or whatever. Or they liked it made them feel powerful. So to see the Criminal Minds team, they would do something they'll put out like a journalism or put out a news article or something that if the guy's looking for power, they'll put out a article or something that makes him look weak. That basically talks about him making like, oh man, I'm a coward to do something like that. And of course, the guy would read it and then he'd get all emotional and do something and make a mistake and they end up catching him. See, so that's why if you're going to do God's work, you got to take your emotions out of it because you're going to be challenged. You're going to be, like I said, your gangster's going to be tested. It's going to happen. That's why, like I said, when you see them people talking trash, a lot of people are like, oh, that's just a thug. Why? He's just a thug. He's just showboat. No, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He knows that. Matter of fact, I'm bad about it myself. I hate to see people that talk trash, but even with that being said, one of my favorite players that I've always liked, even though he talked trash, was Deion Sanders. And the reason why I like him because he talked trash, but he can bag his trash up. He always bagged his trash up. So I love watching Deion Sanders, even though he talked trash. Like I said, I hate trash talking myself, but he backed it up. But I, you know what I'm saying, now that I'm older and wiser, I see he was just getting those people off their game. And that's what this world try to do. Try to get you off your game. Try to get you to make an emotional decision. I remember I used to love playing dominoes. We used to play dominoes at work at night, and I actually got pretty good at it. Well, I'm still pretty good at it. I don't play as much as I used to, but you know, I was pretty decent at it. And I remember this one time I was playing with this guy. And I wasn't prepared for it. He got me out of my game because he was talking. The entire game he was talking smack. You know what I'm saying? Because me, I like to study, man, and I look at my bones and I add up the points that's out there and what's the best move to make and all that. And you know, and this guy, you know, he was talking, and because he was talking, I wasn't really spending the time that I normally would spend to think out my move. I was just reacting because he was making me like so upset. Because he like, man, study long, study wrong, man. It shouldn't take you more than 30 seconds. You got to take more than 30, man. You can't even play. And I mean, he was just saying like, oh man, you know, I sit down and he was just doing little stuff like that, and it was just irritating the fire out of me. And you know what I'm saying? So instead of me taking my time, ignoring him, and taking my time and, you know, thinking out my decisions like I normally do, making sure I was making the best move like I normally do, I was just trying to hastily do it to get him to shut up. And guess what happened? I ended up losing the game. Matter of fact, I didn't win. I didn't do good at all that night when I played him. Why? Because he got me emotionally involved by talking crap about me, making me feel bad. I mean, this dude, he was going. I guess that's what he did. He was a professional, and I guess he knew it because he was winning. He was kicking our butts, and it's because he was, study long. Soon you pick your bones up and look at, man, study long, study wrong. Go on, put something down, man. What's taking on? I gotta get ready to go. And he just say stuff like that. But again, what he was doing, he was getting me off my game. So that's what you got to understand. This world will do that. It will get you off your game if you allow it. If you always reacting emotionally. If you watch a lot of talk shows and things of that nature, a lot of time, unless it's a Christian talk show, a lot of time if it's like a worldly talk show, but yet they want to bring like a Christian on as a special guest, they're always poking at them. They always trying to say stuff to get them to fire off and to get them to live in to react in their flesh. That's what they're always doing. And the reason why they're doing that because they want to get you to react emotionally. Because if they can get you to react emotionally, then 9 times out of 10 you're going to make a bad decision. You know what I'm saying? You're going to slip up somewhere. You're going to make a mistake. And once you make their mistake, bam, then they got you. And see, that's what this world try to do. You know, that's one of the things that me and my wife, we're opposite about. We kind of, polar opposites. Because, and honestly, I say me and my wife, there's just women and men in general. That's one of the big big things in women and men. Women think emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, and as you're supposed to. I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad thing, but it's you're supposed to because your heart, you know what I'm saying, you're all about caring and you're all about nurturing and you're all about taking care of the kids and the family. So you have to be emotional to do that. You have to be emotionally attached to be able to do that. That's how God built you. You have to react emotionally. But us men, we're logical. And that's why women and men is so much contention because we think logically. Like, you know what I'm saying? A woman, something happened with the kid, and immediately they want to, rip their heads off and poop down their throat. Somebody did something to my baby. I just want to murder them. You know what I'm saying? But a man, especially like if you know the kid, maybe a problem to you, the first thing I'm like, okay, hold on, what did they do? I heard what was done to them. But were they doing anything to incite this? Was they doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, and that's why this teacher had to spank them or discipline them or give them suspension or whatever? Don't just start going off on the teacher. Oh, the teacher hate them, and you want to destroy the teacher. No, let's get the facts first. Let's find out the facts. Let's take some time, hear the details, hear both sides of the story, then make our decision. And see, that's the big thing. Women, they just it don't matter. Somebody hurt my baby's unhappy for whatever reason. I want to destroy everybody and kill everything. That's just how y'all are. And that's the biggest. A lot of times with me and my wife get in. I don't want to say get into it like we fight or something, but you know what I'm saying. We have our I don't think of the word, like I said, ain't not fights, but disagreements. We have our disagreements, and a lot of times it's because she's reacting to something emotionally, and I'm reacting to it logically. And she's like, well, you should be feeling like this. I'm like, yeah, I can understand, but hold on, let's look at the facts behind why this situation happened. So that's one of the biggest things that we kind of go back and forth on. And again, she's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? And it really, you should balance each other out. If you talk about it long enough, and I can get her to calm down, then eventually she'll see it my way. Or sometimes if it's serious enough, I'll see it her way. Like, oh yeah, we do need to go burn that son of a gun down. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, this quick knee-jerk reaction, most women is emotional. And you got to understand, if you're going to do God's work, you can't do that. You can't do that because you have to be able to keep your wits about you. No matter how you feel about the situation, what's the truth behind it? And that's what you got to focus on. Because, see, that's how the world operates. It gets you to get invested in something emotionally instead of spiritually, and it takes you off your game. Like right now, and I know I've been talking about it because it's Pride Month, and it just irks me that we have a Pride Month. But why do we have Pride Month? Why do we have a whole month dedicated to celebrating openly rebellious lifestyle? Because they've gotten everybody emotionally attached. Because what do they use? What is their main slogan? Oh, you should be able to love who you want to. They try to throw love out there. Oh, if you're not allowing these people to do this, then you don't love them, and the people should be able to love, and they throw this word love, when in reality, homosexuality has nothing to do with love. There's men in my life that I love dearly that are not family, that I love dearly. I love them like family. Matter of fact, we just had Father's Day yesterday. Shouts out to all you fathers out there. We had Father's Day yesterday. There's two men that I met when I was like 14, 15 years old. Well, no, one of them I met when I was like 10, 11. The other one I met when I was like 16. But these two men that I met later on in life that I love, I sent them Father's Day cards. Still talk to them. I talk to them on a regular basis. I love them. That don't make me a homosexual because I have love for these men. I'm only a homosexual if I get involved in intercourse with these men. See, but that's what they do when they're making an argument about why you should support gay pride, and when they're making an argument about transgenderism and all that. It's always love. It's all about this is how they feel. It's the emotional thing. And see, that's why I say you got to watch that emotion, because that emotion leads you down a dark path. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful with that. It's the same thing with like the whole Black Lives Matter thing. I never did get behind that whole Black Lives Matter thing because they appeal to your emotions. Oh, this person was done wrong and he should be okay. Yes, he was done wrong. Again, I'm not saying just like that, but let's get all the facts first. You know what I'm saying? Let's get all the facts. Now we get all the facts in, and the cops just beat this dude down just to beat this dude down, then that's just wrong. Like I know the one in Memphis that happened a little while ago, and it was like black cops, but they beat this black dude to death. Like that was wrong. You know what I'm saying? After getting all the facts, that was just wrong. I mean, now that dude did do some stuff. You know what I'm saying? But still, what they did to him was just wrong. It was nothing wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just logically speaking, that was wrong. I didn't get all, oh my God, let's go burn Memphis down. All that. No, what happened? Now they were wrong, and I hope, and I didn't really keep up with the story. I know they were fired, but they should have been persecuted if they wouldn't. They was wrong for that. But the thing is, immediately everybody want to go burn the city down, no, let's get the details first. Let's get the details first. You can't react in your emotions if you're going to do, because again, if you quick to react in your emotions instead of using wisdom, then you might lose. And see, we saw Saul here. Saul was upset. They would, if you read the story, and again, you follow the video from last week, they were gouging people's eyes out. It said every Israelite on the east side of the Jordan had their eyes gouged out. And now the guy was trying to come over here on his home turf and do the same thing. Yes, he was upset, but he didn't rush in there with guns ablazing. He went in there with a plan. And see, if you can follow God and use wisdom and discretion, then you'll always have a plan. And you can do that. But if not, then you can get sucked in. Another thing, you know what I'm saying? When you look at like Antifa or any kind of like hate groups that we've seen that has popped up in our country, KKK, all that, the Aryan Brotherhoods, How do they get people to come into these groups? How do they get people to submit to these groups? They appeal to their decision. Oh man, black people and Mexicans are taking over. They taking over your job and they're going to have sex with your daughters and they're going to destroy your whole way of living. And they get them emotionally involved instead of people, they start depending on their emotion instead of depending on their logic. And that's what they do. They appeal to your emotions, like that whole situation with Kanye West a few weeks back. That's what they got it. Oh, he's anti-Semitic. He made this statement when what he was saying was really the truth. There's a majority of the entertainment industry and movie and music is controlled by Jewish people. And look at what is when you look at the free world and the music that's put out in the world, it's mostly negative stuff. You know what I'm saying? You look at rap music, if you rap about God and good things, it's not going to get played quicker than if you rap about killing people or selling drugs. That's truth. But he's anti-Semitic. And see, that's what they do. When you start speaking truth, they throw some kind of word out there. They throw racism out there, or they throw the word bigot out there, or they throw, whatever. They throw some kind of word out there that gets you emotionally charged. And because you get emotionally charged, that's wrong, and you go and support these things when they're wrong. That's what happens when you say a man is a man. A man can't be a woman and a woman can be a man. They call you ignorant. They call you a bigot. And you know what I'm saying? And because they are emotionally charged when they're not looking at it logically. Biologically, it's impossible for a man to be a woman and it's impossible for a woman to be a man. It just cannot happen. There's only two genders. You know what I'm saying? But right now, I think we got a list of 120 some genders and they constantly making more every day. Why? Because everybody is emotionally involved. They're not looking at the situation with logic. You know what I'm saying? When you have logic, when you have wisdom, and you look at some of the stuff that they're talking about. Matter of fact, right now, and I just saw this a couple of times, there's a law. They're trying to pass a law in California that if your child comes to you and say, no matter what their age is, if your child comes to you and tell you that if they're a girl and they feel like they should be a boy, or if they're a boy they feel like they should be a girl, if they tell you that, and you don't start getting them gender affirm, whatever they call that, and start letting them have them treatments so they can turn into whatever they feel like they are, you can be arrested for child abuse. That is insane to me. That is insane. Your 6-year-old daughter, because I remember when we was in the hood, I remember girls that was tomboys. You know what I'm saying? They turned out to be beautiful young ladies later on and had, you know what I'm saying? I remember this, matter of fact, I remember this one girl that I met recently here in this town. When we first got up here, she played football on the junior pro team. And she was a beast, too. She was a beast on the field. Her and my daughter both played football together. I remember. And if you saw her, you was like, oh, yeah, she definitely should be a boy. And now she's the girliest little girl. She's in high school now. I think she either graduated or about to graduate. But she's in high school now, and she's the girliest girl that you can imagine. Like, it's almost like completely different. She just had a little phase where she just went through the little tomboy phase. But nowadays, instead of she's just a tomboy or something like that, she must supposed to be a boy, and she's just a boy trapped in a girl's body. So now they got laws saying they trying to pass a law right now in California that if your child reveals to you that they feel that they're the wrong gender and you don't let them get the medical attention that they need to turn into the right gender, you can go to jail for abuse. That is insane, and that is straight out of hell. That's just evil. I don't know how much. I don't know how much evil this place got to be before y'all open your eyes up. But the reason why we see this stuff and we know what's going on, and our common sense is telling us that this is wrong, but we're emotional. We are emotional about the situation. So instead of using logic about the situation, instead of using discretion, instead of going to God and asking for wisdom on how to handle these things, we're making all these decisions, we're making all these laws, we're making all these rules and regulations off emotions. And it's taking us down a deep, dark path. So that's what we got to understand. If you're going to do God's work, if you're going to be out there and tell the truth, then you got to be prepared to be able to respond to whatever opposition that comes up with wisdom and logic, because it's going to happen. When you, like I said, people, luckily for me, I can say what I want because I don't have a big following. Nobody really cares anyway because I'm insignificant. You know what I'm saying? So I can say what I want to. It ain't going to bother nobody. Ain't too many people going to hear it but my people that I talk to anyway. But if I was to get like famous or something like that, real big, and had like 1 million followers, and all of a sudden I'm an influencer, me saying something like this, it would be that'll be a no-no. Because next thing you know, I have people calling me up bigots and picketing and protesting because I simply said the truth. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because they're emotionally involved and I'm being logical. By the word, about using the word of God to tell you a simple truth. A man can't be a woman, a woman can't be a man. So you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to separate your emotions so you don't jump into your flesh and be able to use logic. You be able to use wisdom. That's the only way that, like I said, that could be the difference between you being and getting the victory and you being defeated. You know, if you look at the Bible and you look at all the good godly men, the ones that was really successful in the Bible, how they accomplished that? Through wisdom. They made logical decisions and they used wisdom. And the only way, like I said, I think I mentioned earlier, the only way you can get that wisdom is by having a close walk with God. Make sure you're reading your Bible every day. Make sure you're praying. I don't know how many times y'all probably heard me say that. No, make sure you're praying every day, reading your Bible every day, and soul winning. Those three things right there is what gets you closer to God. And if you can do those three things on a daily basis, on a consistent basis, if you can do those things, then guess what? You will end up having that wisdom you need. You won't be acting out of your emotion. I'm sorry, y'all. Somebody's trying to call me for some reason. You won't be able to act out of your emotion. You won't be acting out of your emotion. You'll be able to do it, use wisdom, and you'll be able to get the victory. Let's look at just a couple of examples I got wrote down because I already spent more time on this point than I want to, but I want to make sure y'all understand how important it is. Look at David. I love David. David, one of my favorite characters because I just love his heart. I love his mindset. I love how David, if you look at David, other than, because he did make mistakes with Bathsheba, which everybody always want to bring up, you know what I'm saying, the one mistake he did make, but majority of the time, 99% of the time, whenever David went to make a move, he always asked God first. He never just went head into it. Even if God told him to do it, he like, hey, God, you sure? I want to make sure this is what you want me to do. Because he was always about God's will. So every time before he went into battle, he always went to God first. Always went to God first. And that's why David was so successful. He was one of the most successful men in the Bible because he always acted off of logic. He always used wisdom and discretion. He always went to God and was asking God, Lord, please guide me. Is this the right move I need to make? And there was a couple of times where the Lord was like, no, don't do it that way. Do it this way. Now, I know you want to do it this way. Go do it another way. We saw the same thing with Joshua when he was leading the people, the Israelites, into the promised land. You know what I'm saying? He used logic. He used wisdom. You remember with Jericho, the Lord told him, circle around the city once, in complete silence, once every day for 6 days. Then on the 7th day, circle around 7 times. And then after the end of the 7th time, you shout and the wall's going to come down. You're going to get the victory. See, they didn't just rush into the fight. They followed the instruction and they used the wisdom that the Lord gave them. And then you remember the very next battle they had, they actually got their butt kicked because this dude named Korah had did some stuff he wasn't supposed to do. But even with then, he like, Lord, what are we doing wrong? They went to the Lord. They didn't get all upset and pout and get all emotional. You know what I'm saying? They went to the Lord like, Lord, what are we doing wrong? Why do we suffer this? And the Lord told them exactly what happened. Then he said, all right, now, if y'all want to get the victory, this is what you need to do. And then, y'all can go read the story for yourself. He told Joshua what to do, and Joshua split his army up, and you know what I'm saying, and one thing led to another, and they end up getting the victory over this little town. You see what I'm saying? Why? Because he used wisdom. He didn't get emotional because these guys had kicked their butts the days before. They went in there with a game plan, and they was able to get the victory. I'm sorry, I was trying to read and talk at the same time. Another one, just a big example. Look at Gideon. Y'all remember Gideon? He fought an army of 120,000 with 300 people. Why? Because he wasn't emotional. Now, these people had been oppressing Israel for the longest. They had invaded the land, but he didn't get emotional about it. He went in with a game plan. And the Lord told him what to do. He split his, I think it was 300 of them, and I think he split them into 3 groups of 100. And they didn't even have weapons. They just had like a torch and a clay pot. And the Lord told them that at a certain time, you know what I'm saying, from different sides of the enemy's camp, you know what I'm saying, I think they had to light the torch, or they threw the torch, or something. They did something with the torch. They broke the clay pot, and then they yelled out for the sword of the Lord and Joshua. And guess what happened? 300 dudes beat 120,000. Why? Because they didn't get emotional and go in there. They're oppressing my people, so I just want to go in there and make them suffer. No, they use wisdom. They didn't get into their emotions. And that's what happened. That's what this world does to us. And that's how it gets us to make bad decisions. That's how it gets us to do things that we know we're not supposed to be doing. That's how it gets us to support stuff like Pride Month. That's how it gets us to support stuff like abortion. That's how it gets us to do all these things. Gambling. You know what I'm saying? What do they do? How do they get you support gambling? Oh, you know, you give to the lottery, and the lottery's going to give so much money to college students every year. And, you know, and we're going to take care of our college students from the money that we're stealing from y'all. You know what I'm saying? They get you emotionally involved. And when they get you emotionally involved, they can get you to do exactly what they want you to do, even if it's something that you know logically you shouldn't be doing. You would do it anyway because of your emotion. So again, the whole point is, if you're going to serve God, you got to be, you got to train yourself to look at the facts first. Let's look at this logically. I don't care what my emotions saying right now. I don't care how involved I am emotionally. Let me look at this logically. And when I look at this logically, does it make sense? Does this make sense for me to be reacting like this? Logically, does this make sense for me to be reacting like this? And if it don't, then don't get involved. You know what I'm saying? But that's a tool of this world. That's what this world will do. They will get you to get involved emotionally. And when they get you to get involved emotionally, they get you to do some stuff you want. They get you to make a mistake. They get you to make a bad decision. And once they can get you to do that, then guess what? They got you. So you got to be careful with that. If you're going to serve the Lord, you can't get involved emotionally. You can't be handling situations. You have to operate off wisdom and discretion and not emotion. You got to detach your emotion away from that. Get your emotion away. All right, this is the situation I'm in. This is what's going on. No, logically, you know what I'm saying, about wisdom, about what the Bible say, what makes sense. How should I handle this situation? You know what I'm saying? And if the best way you feel to handle the situation is not biblical, then most likely it's emotional, and you need to step away from that. So make sure you realize that if you're going to serve the Lord, again, your gangster's going to be tested. You're going to be tried. People are going to come at you sideways, but don't let that, don't get attached to emotion. Don't get involved emotionally and let them get you out of their game. Because again, you having the ability to be able to keep your wits about you can be the difference between you getting the victory or you being defeated. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, people talking trash about you, poking at you, trying to get you riled up. All they're trying to do is get you to react emotionally so you won't react in your spirit. And then if you do that, then guess what? They get you out of the will of God. So if you're going to do the will of God, number 8, you have to operate off of wisdom and discretion and not emotion. So the number 8. So again, we saw Saul. Saul made the wise decision. He didn't get all emotional. He went in with a game plan. He split up the army and launched a surprise attack, split them all up into 3 different detachments, and launched a surprise attack, got the victory. And again, it says that he slaughtered them. He launched a surprise attack against the Ammonites and slaughtered them the whole morning. And the remnant of their army was so badly scattered that no 2 of them were left together. So then the next verse says, so then the people exclaimed to Samuel, now, where are those men who said Saul shouldn't rule over us? Bring them here and we will kill them. But Saul replied, and this shows when Saul started off, he was such a great king. He had the right mindset. He got a little arrogant and he went the wrong, his pride swelled up in him and he went the wrong way. We're going to get into that eventually. But he had the right mindset, because in verse 13 said, but Saul replied, no one will be executed today, for today the Lord has rescued Israel. So y'all remember, what's that a reference back to? Again, it's been a couple of weeks since we've been over there, but hold on one second. It's been a few weeks since we went over that, but y'all remember when they first crowned him king, there was a group of men that was like, man, we don't want this joker to be our king. He can't rescue us. Who is he? You know what I'm saying? They was basically like, who is he? And I told y'all, haters gonna hate. No matter what you do, somebody's going to be somebody somewhere that's going to hate on you, that's not going to like you for whatever reason. That's going to happen. You got to be prepared for that. So that's what this is referencing to. So now Saul has showed that he's confident in his abilities. He's made the decision to go out and go to war to rescue his people. He went out there, followed through wisdom and discretion, got the victory. Now the people like, man, see, obviously God, this is what God had for him to be the whole time. It gave not only Saul the confidence that in his ability, like we talked about in number 6, but it made the people confident in him as well. So now that he's got the people confidence, they're like, now let's go get them people that was talking bad about Saul. You know what I'm saying? Where they at? Let's find them. But what did Saul say? Saul replied, no one would be executed today, for today the Lord has rescued Israel. So that's going to bring us to point number 9. Number 9 is this. If you're going to serve the Lord, if you're going to be in God's will, then you got to understand rejection is going to be a part of that work. Now, part of the work that we have to do is rejection. So number 9 is you can't take the rejection personal. You can't take this personal. You know what I'm saying? Saul didn't take with them dudes that acting out of character. Man, he can't be our king. We don't want him as king. You know what I'm saying? Acting out of rebellion. He didn't take it personally. Now he could be like, yeah, let's go get him. You know what I'm saying? Had he took it personally, again, had he been emotional, had it been an emotional decision, had he taken it personal, then guess what? He would have went on and told, yeah, go get him. Let's string them all up. Let's kill them. But he didn't. He said, no, nobody's going to die today. The Lord just rescued us. Nobody's going to die today. Why? Because he didn't take their rejection. Those guys rejected him personally. So you got to understand that. I don't take, like, when I go out and I do this work, it's part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's part of it. And that's why a lot of people, honestly, that's why a lot of people or more people don't go out soul winning, because they're afraid of the rejection. They're afraid of the rejection. And you know what I'm saying? And again, no, I'm not afraid. Like the first few months, I mean, I was the same way. I didn't even like the first few months I was going out soul winning. I didn't do a lot of the talking. I just watched the preacher do the talking. You know what I'm saying? I was afraid of the rejection as well. We're all afraid of rejection. But you got to understand what I had to understand. The mindset I had to come to, and I had to come to grips with, is to understand that when people are rejecting, when you go out and you're doing God's work and people are rejecting you, they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting God. See, we can't take it personal. We think, oh, they rejected me. He didn't want to listen to me. He didn't want to hear the words I had to say. Well, guess what? If you represent God, if you're really doing God's work, that's not your words anyway. So the words that they're rejecting is not your words. They're rejecting God's word. And you have to understand that. You have to understand that. You have to realize it's not you that they are rejecting, it's the Lord. That's something I had to realize. Matter of fact, if y'all remember a couple of chapters back when Israel first, because this kind of the after it happened, but y'all remember when back, I think it was chapter 1 Samuel, let me look, it's just a few pages back. 1 Samuel chapter 8. You remember the first part of 1 Samuel chapter 8 when Israel went to Samuel and told him that they wanted a king. You remember Samuel got upset because he knew what they was asking. He knew that they was rejecting, because God was supposed to be their king. God was the leader. And the men that God sent, the prophets, was the ones supposed to lead them. But they were like, no, we want a king just like everybody else around. We want to be like the world. And you remember Samuel got upset. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read it to you because it's easy to find. It's just a few back. And he says, and the Lord said, matter of fact, in 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 6, it says, Samuel was very upset with their request and went to the Lord for advice. And he said, do as they say. The Lord replied, for it is me they are rejecting, not you. See, that's a valuable lesson I had to learn. See, Samuel and the Lord had to teach him that. They're not rejecting you. When you trying to talk to your special, and that's a harm, especially when you dealing with close ones and loved ones. And I think y'all have heard me say before, the hardest people for me to witness to, the hardest people for me to help is the ones that I'm the closest to. You know, it's the one, and I think it's because, like I'm saying from point A, because I'm emotionally involved. I'm emotionally involved in the situation. So it's the hardest one to witness to, especially when they're rejecting the word that you're trying to give them. Now, I'm not one to just stuff it down their throat. And you know what I'm saying? I come at it, you know what I'm saying? I tread lightly. I know God has given me the ability to be able to work with people and talk with people and win them over to me before I can win to him. That's something, that's one of the gifts he's given me. You know, but you know, when you going and you taking the gospel to people and you taking these truths to people, and you know what I'm saying, like I said, you say something about the Gay Pride Month and they get upset and call you a bigot and want to bring your store down or whatever, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the words of God, they're rejecting the truth that you just told them. So we have to put ourselves, so to speak, start putting ourselves up on this pedestal and thinking it's all about us. You know, what's that one song, You're So Vain, I bet you think this song is about you. The gospel is not about you. The word of God is not about you. You know what I'm saying? God uses you to get it out there, but it's not about you. So when you're taking God's word, now if you're taking truth, now if you're out there on some other stuff and you're taking some phony baloney, your own opinions out using God's word and twisting it up to form your own opinions, that's one thing. But if you're out there and you're taking the truths that God has put in his word and you telling these truths and people are rejecting you, then it's not you that are rejecting. It's God that are rejecting. So you can't take it personally. And you got to understand it. You can't take that personally. You know what I'm saying? When people tell me all the time, oh man, yeah, I'm gonna come. I go out there like I've been soul winning for almost 8 years now. Coming up on, we having our Lost Sheep ministry, 2015. So it's been like about 8 years that I've been soul winning. And if I had $1 for everybody that told me they was going to come to the church or come to my Lost Sheep ministry or watch my videos, if I had $1 for everybody that said that, man, I would be filthy rich right now. Or said that didn't show up. I would be filthy rich right now. If every single person that ever told me they're going to watch my videos actually watch my videos, I would have, 1 million followers. You know what I'm saying? But they're stated those things, but I have to realize they're not rejecting me. They don't want to hear the word of God. That's why they're not coming to watch my videos. Now, if I was up here and I was giving some whole happy, joy, and it was like 2 minutes long, and I made everybody feel good for a couple minutes, oh man, I get probably 1,000 views every single time. But I'm not. I'm trying to help you understand these truths. I'm trying to give you the truth. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, and I'm trying to make sure you understand it. So you don't get it on the people that's here. Are you glutton for punishment? You gluttons, you ones that's here that's glutton for punishment. Miss Alicia, you always here. I appreciate you. But I know you're trying to learn. I remember the day we had the conversation. You like, man, I'm really trying to build my relationship with the Lord. I'm really trying to learn. And you like, I really hope this can help me. And you've been there. I don't think you've missed, other than situation with grandson. I don't think you missed any videos since that day. And then the ones you have missed, you usually go back and watch. You know why? Because you really want to learn. You want to learn the truths. You see what I'm saying? So you got to understand, rejection is not me. It's not my word that I'm bringing. It's not my theology. It's not my own prayer. No, this is the word of God. So when you're doing God's work and you're out there and you're getting rejected, you know what I'm saying? It's not God. I remember my preacher was telling me, and this is not a story that I was personally involved in. This is my preacher's preacher. But, you know what I'm saying, I thought about the story because it kind of goes along with it. And he talking about his preacher name was Dr. Howes, which is if you know anything about Christianity, he was a big preacher back in the day. Like, I mean, really famous. But I mean, it wasn't because he was one of those happy Georgia preachers. Like, he was you know what I'm saying, the hellfire and brimstone type preacher. But I mean, he had a real huge ministry, worldwide ministry. But anyway, so one day, he was talking to this guy, went by witnessing, and he was talking to this guy, and I think he led the guy to the Lord. And so he was talking to the guy like, and the guy like, well, yeah, I'll be at church Sunday. So he was like, okay. And Dr. Howard was like, okay, see you Sunday. So Sunday morning, before church started, the guy calls Dr. Howard, like, hey, Dr. Howard, look, I know I promised you that I'll be at church Sunday. I had some stuff come up, then that I'm not going to be able to make it, so I apologize. And Dr. Howard like, well, you ain't got to apologize to me. You didn't make me no promise. Yeah, sir. No, I did. You remember we came by, you talked to me Sunday, the other day, and I told you I'm going to be at church, and so I'm just letting you know I ain't going to be there. He said, you didn't make me no promise. Yes, sir. Do you not remember when you came by my house and you talked to me and I told you I was going to come to church? He said, yeah. He said, but you didn't make that promise to me. You made that promise to God. And he said, when the guy heard that, he's like, you know what? I'm getting dressed now. I'll be there in a little bit. See, you got to understand. When I go knock on these doors, I'm representing the Lord. So when people make these promises, and again, this is something I had to learn myself. So I'm trying to help y'all. So when people make these promos, when they say, "Oh, I'm gonna watch your video," I got like tracks. I've given out over 3,000 tracks. You know what I'm saying? Since I started giving out I had my own tracks made up about July of last year. So it's coming up on a year. And so I first ordered 1,000, and all those are gone. And then I ordered 5,000. About half of those are gone. So somewhere around 3,000 tracks I've given out over the last just 8-9 months. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time when I give people the track, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to check this out. We're going to watch your videos and all that. But I still got the same amount of views that I've always had. The same little consistent views that I always get on my YouTube videos, which I barely do get in the views on the YouTube. And the same, anywhere between 50 and 100 that I get on my Facebook. Why? Because people, they said they was going to do it. They said they were going to do it, but they weren't people of their word, so they was going to do it. But it's not because I'm just not charismatic enough or I'm not interested enough. It's just because they don't want to hear the word of God. It's me. It's not me they're rejecting. It's not because, for the you ones that's here, Chris, use another one. He's here all the time. Chris watch me on here. He comes to the live. You know what I'm saying? Me and him always having a conversation. Miss Alicia, you always here. You know what I'm saying? So there's people that will get it. There's people that really want to hear the truth, and those people that really want to hear the truth of God's word, they will be there. And that's what I had to understand. So it's not me there. It's not because I'm doing it wrong. If I was doing it wrong, nobody would be here. You guys wouldn't be here every single week if I was doing something wrong. But it's not for everybody. And those people that it's for is the ones that are really trying to have a relationship with the Lord. And those people that it's not for is because they really not trying to have a relationship. They just not there. And that's not to say that they won't get there eventually. But at this point in their life right now, they're really not where they need to be so they can hear these truths. So they reject it. But I got to understand, I can't take that personally. I can't take that personally. It's not me that are rejecting. It's the Lord. Because if you take it personally, it's going to be hard for you to do God's will. It's going to be hard for you to go out soul winning. If I had one this weekend, we went out to this trailer park in McKenzie. And it was weird. And matter of fact, the guy that was with me, my partner, like I told y'all from the Hope Center, he's like, man, it was rough. Cause me and him go to projects just about every week. I mean, we even go down to Jackson. And man, this trailer park was rough. Like it was rough. Like I wasn't afraid of my life or nothing, but it was a lot rougher than than the projects we were going into. And we actually met this guy that was a part of the gang, the Latin King gang. That's a real big gang. I mean, serious gang ties. I mean, it's a bad gang, And we come across this guy, and we got to talk to him. Of course, he wasn't saved, and he was telling us his gang principles and all that, and we were going back and forth, but he really didn't want to hear the gospel. He didn't really want to hear the gospel. I was trying to do everything to help him out, to help him get comfortable with me. Matter of fact, he even wanted us to go behind his trailer, which was a little sketchy because it was in the wood, and we were standing in front like, hey, man, let's go behind the trailer. And you know what I'm saying? And, normally I'd be like, man, forget that. But, I went back there. I'm like, man, this will help this guy. If he's more comfortable talking back here, then I go back there. And I actually mentioned that because I was telling him, he's like, man, I don't believe in all that. I said, man, do you think that if I really didn't believe in God and believe that this is true, you think I would have followed you behind your trailer? I don't know what you had back here. You already showed me that you're a gang member. You already told me, you had been in prison for killing somebody. I already served 10 years for murder. You know what I'm saying? So if you didn't think, if I thought for a second that all that this was fake, you think I would have followed you behind your trailer to be out of eyesight of the people where you can do what you want to me? No. And he actually mentioned, you know what, man, that was real. He said, I appreciate it. He said, that was real. He said, I didn't even think about that. And, and I got to talking to him. And he still didn't want to get saved, though. But I gave one of my cards. I said, man, look, just check me out. I said, I think if you check me out, man, I think you'll like what I have to say, and it might help you, come to have a relationship with the Lord. He said he's going to do it. Now, whether he did or not, I don't know. He might have, he might not. I don't know. I have no way of checking. But if he didn't, again, it wasn't me he rejected. He rejected the Lord. So we can't take rejection personally. That's what they wanted Saul to do. They wanted Saul to get upset and destroy these men because they rejected him. But again, when Saul was given that position, who was he given that position by? He was given that position by God. So when Saul was given that position, he was going as a representative to the people of God. See, God had always been their leader, so to speak, speaking through the prophets, but they didn't want to hear the prophets no more. So he came a king. But still, even though he gave him a king, it was a king that was ordained by God. So he was going as a representative of God. So when they rejected him, they wasn't rejecting him, they were rejecting God. But these men, they were trying to get him to take it personal. They were trying to get him, like I was talking about in point number 8, they were trying to get him to be emotional about it. And you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like my partner soul winning. Like I tell you, he's like, man, I can't believe, because we've been going at it about 2-3 months now. And he's like, I can't believe how many people we come across, man, that are unsaved and know they're unsaved, know they need to be saved and still won't do it. He said, it's just, man, like, what are we doing wrong? Like, man, it's not us. I said, it's not us, brother. Like, because I've led over 500 people to the Lord, you know what I'm saying, since I've been doing this. So it's not us. It's just them. They weren't ready for it. I said, we can't take this personally. You know what I'm saying? We go out there, we knock on the door, we tell them what we're there for. If they need to hear the gospel and they want to hear the gospel, we give it to them. If they need to hear the gospel, they don't want to hear the gospel, we leave them on track. We've done our part. But they're not rejecting us. They're rejecting the Lord. That's why we can't take it personal. We just go on to the next door, but he was just like, man, I can't believe. I said, man, you can't. Okay? I said, and the reason why they reject, I said, when you come to, because I know Christians that sometimes get bothered. Because I know how I tell them about, a soul winning experience. Oh, man, I was doing this. And I can tell it kind of bothers them because it brings them under conviction like, man, I say I'm a Christian, but I'm not out here knocking on doors. I'm not going to projects. I'm not going telling people like, yeah, I might bring up God, and now and again I might pray for somebody, but I'm not doing the work that John. I'm not really out here putting the boots to the ground, so to speak, like John is really doing. And I can tell it bothers them. So when you going and knocking on somebody's door that's living in sin and they living in darkness, when you come, you shedding light into the darkness, and that's what they reject. They don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Men love the men love the darkness, but their deeds were evil. They don't want that. So when you come there talking about Jesus Christ, and they know, especially when they don't have Jesus Christ, they've never been saved, you know what I'm saying? You bring them on conviction, and they don't want that. They don't want to be on that conviction. They want to be able to live their life and do those things with their conscience clear. But when you bring God into it, now you bring them on a conviction. Now they got to think about, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I really in the right here? What's going to really happen to me if I go through the door called death with the way I'm living right now? You know what I'm saying? You bring that, and they don't want to think about this. So that's why they reject you. So you got to understand their rejection is going to be a part of it. Because again, your light exposes their darkness. You know, I had wrote down your spirit irritates their demons, but it ain't that it irritates their demon. It actually upsets their demons. That's why they're there. And that's why sometimes, like I said, for the most part, I've never been in a situation where I felt like my life was in danger out there. But I've had doors slammed in my face. You know, I've been cursed out before. I've had people, you know, I'm handing them a track and they won't even take the track. They just slam the door. No, I don't want no part of it. Slam the door in my face. I've had that happen. Why? Because I'm bringing that light into their darkness. And they don't want that. So they reject me. But again, it's not me they're rejecting. They're rejecting the word of God. That's why when I'm giving them that track, they won't even take it because they're rejecting the word of God. And the sad part about it, what I always tell people, man, you make your decision, you do what you want to do. But the saddest part, whenever you read the Bible and it talks about the weeping and gnashing of teeth, you know, people always assume because hell is going to be so hard and it's going to be so bad that this is why there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. When in reality, the thing that's going to torture people the most in hell is the fact that they're going to know and realize that they didn't have to be there. They're going to think about all the times that they had the opportunity to hear the gospel and they rejected it. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to torture you most because you don't know and realize that it was your decision. It wasn't God that put you there. It wasn't the devil that put you there. It was your decision that put you there. And that's what's going to torture you more than anything. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to think about all the time that you could accept the Lord, but you rejected. So that's why I say you got to be careful. That's a part of it. Number 9, you can't take the rejection person. You can't get upset because somebody slammed the door in the face. You can't get upset because somebody tell you to get off their GD property, which I've had that happen. You can't get upset when somebody call the police on you. I've had that happen twice. Call the police on me. I mean, I've experienced these things. You know what I'm saying? You can't get upset when these things happen because they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the Lord. And that's why I always tell people, that's one thing I tell people, like when you're doing God's work, you know, say, yes, the rejection is going to be there. People can get upset with you. But the thing is, you got to understand, people can get upset with you regardless. You can be living a perfect life and be a perfect person and never do anything wrong, and somebody's going to hate you for it. I mean, Jesus was a perfect example of that. They killed him because he was perfect. You know what I'm saying? Or you can live a life and be the worst person ever. Somebody's going to hate you for it. There is no happy medium. There's nothing you're going to be able to do that's going to please everybody. So you got to understand, you can't please everybody and you can't save everyone. So with that being understood, if you understand that you can't please everybody, you can't save everybody. When you understand that no matter what you do, somebody's going to hate you, then guess what? If somebody's going to hate you regardless, at least let them hate you for a good reason. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of people out there that hate me or don't like me, and it's because that I bring because I represent the Lord everywhere I go. And they can't stand it. It bothers them. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to hate me anyway, at least hate me for something good. You know what I'm saying? But you got to understand, people are going to hate you anyway. You can't please everybody and you can't save everybody. So since you know that you can't please everybody and you can't save everybody, that means automatically that there's going to be some times that you're going to be rejected. But like I said, number 9, you can't take their rejection personal. Because when they rejecting your word, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the Lord. And you got to make sure you understand that if you're going to do that's one of the demands. You got to understand the demand, you're going to be rejected, but you can't take their rejection personal. You can't get upset. You can't go pray to God that their house fall down upon them and they can't have kids and nothing like that. You can't take that stuff personally. That's what they try to get. They try to get Saul to make an emotional decision. And Saul, thank God that he had enough wisdom at this time and he was full of the Spirit, enough of the Spirit that he didn't make that emotional decision. He made that logical, wise decision because at this point he had a close relationship with the Lord and said, no, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing it. The Lord just saved us today. We're not doing that. So then after that happened, it says, then in verse 14 said, then Samuel said to the people, come, let us all go to Gilgal to reaffirm Saul's kingship. So they went to Gilgal, and in a solemn ceremony before the Lord, they crowned him king. So again, that's a reference back to number 6. Be confident in your calling, and I think be confident in your belief in your calling. So again, Saul was confident. We see that he had got the confidence, but after he made this move, he made this wise decision, and he was able to rescue them from the Ammonites. Now he's gained the confidence of the people. And see, I told you got to be confident, because because when he first got crowned king, they some of the people wasn't very confident in him. But now everybody's confident in him. And again, people are going to follow you if you're confident. And we're going to see they're going to follow him, when he's confident. And eventually he's going to get to the point where he's no longer confident, and people are going to stop following. They're going to start following David. But you got to be confident. So that was a reference back to number 6. So again, Saul was confident in his abilities. Now he got the confidence of the people, which is going to allow him to really go forth and be the king that they was asking him to be. So then to finish off last verse, y'all, and then we're going to be finished with chapter 11. And then this will be my last point. So it said, so they went to Gilgal, and in a solemn ceremony before the Lord, they crowned him king. Then they offered peace offerings to the Lord, and Saul and all the Israelites were very happy. So number 10, the last one to finish out, this is another demand. If you're going to build the will of God, you're going to be in the will of God. Number 10 is this: you have to be patient for your rewards. There's going to be a lot of sacrifices you're going to have to make. And I know I've talked about sacrifices before, and that's why I wanted to make this point, because it was talking about sacrifices. I wanted to make this point a little bit different. Like I said, I'm giving you one of the demands. So yes, there's going to be some sacrifices involved. There's going to be some things you're going to have to give up. Most of them are going to be your time, your energy. There's going to be some things you're going to have to give up. There's going to be some sacrifices involved. And a lot of times we think, because we're making these sacrifices, because we're doing all these things, because we're giving out all of our time to God, because we're giving our whole heart to God, that God should be like shouting us down. We shouldn't have any problems in this world. Everything should be going according to plan, and everything should be hunky-dory. And it don't always work out like that. It don't always work out like that. So number 10, you have to be patient for your rewards. Your sacrifice, you got to understand, your sacrifices will be rewarded, but it might not be in this world. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be rewarded. I know all this work that I'm doing, all this time I spend putting these lessons together, all this time I spend on here running my mouth to y'all, trying to teach y'all these lessons, hoping y'all will listen or click on it every now and again and get some wisdom from it. I know at some point that time is going to be rewarded. And it might not be here. I might not get to see it. You don't always get to see the benefits of those rewards, because the thing is, you got to understand, while you're here on earth, while you serving the Lord, this is cross-bearing. There's a saying that they have. I don't know who said it, but this is but a lot of preachers, they say it. This is cross-bearing time, not cross-wearing time. Cross-bearing time, not crown-wearing time. I got it wrote correctly. I said it wrong. This is cross-bearing time, not crown-wearing time. And see, a lot of us get it confused. And like I said, we think, because we're making these sacrifices, we're doing this work, we're doing this great work for God, we bringing people in, that this should be, we should be receiving these rewards. Where's our rewards is, God? You know what I'm saying? But it don't always work like that. You know what I'm saying? This is a time that you'll have it. Like I said, you're going to be rewarded. But if you're doing the work and you stay faithful to the work, then guess what? You might not even be in your rewards till you get to that point where it talks about in Revelation, where you have the crowns to throw at Jesus' feet. That's going to be your reward. Because there's going to be some people up there, and you know what I'm saying, I plan on being up there throwing my crowns. I don't know how many, I don't know if I'm going to get all 5, because there's 5 crowns they talk about. I don't know if I'll be able to get all 5 or not, but I know I at least have one, and soul winning ensures that. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'll be up there throwing my crown up there, but there's going to be a lot of people standing in the back that ain't going to have no crowns to throw. You see, so that's going to be your reward when you get to heaven, if you've been faithful and you get to hear that, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's what I'm looking for. Like, if I get there and hear anything less than that, man, I'm going to be kind of disappointed. But I want to hear that, well done, thou good and faithful servant. That's what that'll be my reward. But see, I can't get there to win. I go through the door called death. And that don't mean that God won't reward you while you're here. I mean, he rewards me while I'm here. Again, I'm a chemist for a $1 billion corporation. Been happily married for 20 years. You know, got all my kids, you know what I'm saying? They ain't made it to prison yet. Some of them been knuckleheads and they ran some money in with the law, but I ain't got none that's in prison for murder or anything, you know, crazy like that just yet. I mean, God, when I look at my family and everything, we're not perfect, but man, it's a good life. So, I mean, I'm getting those rewards there. I see the peace that I have in my home. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, me and my wife, we have our disagreements, but that's just a woman and man thing. We always going to disagree on some stuff, but we always manage to work through it and come back together. Like I said, next year it'll be 20 years, 2 decades we've been married, and neither one of us had that in our lives. I've never had nobody in my life, none of the people that raised me, like as far as like my family, mom and dad that was married and had a long marriage. And my wife, I think her mom and her dad was married for a while, but they ended up getting divorced. So something that neither one of us had that we've able to have, because that's one of the rewards of us giving our life to the Lord, or giving me giving my life to the Lord, and she supporting that. 19 years ago. Matter of fact, I gave my life to God on February the 14th. We got married April the 9th. You know what I'm saying? So, a little bit later. So she's basically been supporting me the entire ministry. You know, I've been giving my life to God to the entire ministry. And this entire time I've been having this ministry, I've also had this successful marriage. See, that's some of the rewards. So you're going to get something. It ain't that you ain't going to absolutely get nothing. But you got to understand the main rewards, you know what I'm saying? You might have to wait for them. There might be some way you might not get to see them. You don't necessarily get to see them. Like I said, when I put these videos out and I got, matter of fact, I don't know, they dropped here lately. It's been, it was up to 100 consistently, but the last few videos, I don't even know what the last couple been because I ain't downloading them on YouTube yet, but they've been like around 60, 40, 50. I guess people don't want me to talk about the will of God, but no, it is what it is, So I can't see, and the ones that's here, I don't see how it benefit you. I don't know when I put these lessons together if it's helping anyone at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that. But it won't be until I get to heaven that God's like, yeah, you remember you did the lesson? Because you did this lesson, because you follow my will, because you did this thing, this person got inspired by it. This person changed their life. This person became a better person. This person became a better servant because of that lesson you did. But I don't always get to see that up front. Now, every once in a while, I've told y'all, every once in a while, I come across somebody and they'll be like, man, thank you so much for, sharing that word with me. It's completely changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Several of the guys that I preached to when I was doing the jail ministry, then has got out. I've come across several of them over the years that have said that, oh man, I'm a completely different person. I still think about the lesson that you shared. So it happens sometimes, but it don't always happen. So don't expect it to happen. I guess just want to get that. Sometimes you might see it, and there'll be little things because that encourages you to keep going. So I've had time when people say, "Oh man, I watched that video and that you did on this lesson, and man, that's exactly what I was going through, exactly what I needed to hear." I've had that happen, but it don't happen all the time. So just keep going. And that's why you got to be like, when you're doing God's work, you got to be like a dog with a bone. Whether you're getting the praises, whether you're getting you seeing the benefits of the work or not, I just keep going. You know what I'm saying? Whether I'm having a high, I'm having a low, I just keep going. I try not to let nothing stop me from doing this work that God has for me to do. And that's what you got to do, because I know if I keep doing this work, what does it say? The Lord's words will never, because everything I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing for the Lord. I'm doing to represent the Lord. And what it say? The Lord's words never returns in vain. So yes, I'm on here running my mouth, but I know somebody get help. Even if it's only one person get help from it, somebody got help from it. I know the words that the Lord has given me is to help somebody. So that's why I keep going. But I can't always see that. I know it, but I can't always see it. But I just got to trust that if I continue to put my heart into doing this work, I got to trust that if I continue to let the Spirit lead me as I do this work, I'm getting the goal that God has set for me, I'm getting it accomplished, and God is using this work and my effort and my time and my energy to help somebody have a closer relationship with Him. You have to understand that. But again, you might not always see that. You might not even see the benefits of your sacrifices until you go through that door called death. But that don't mean you stop. You keep going forward. You keep going forward. Because think about it. Think about David. When David, I'll talk about David a little bit tonight. Think about David when he first got anointed king. Samuel came to him like, man, like I said, we're going to get to that eventually. But Saul started off as king. And like I said, right now, we see Saul got his heart in the right place. He's making good decisions. But eventually, he's going to get prideful and he's going to turn away. He's going to kind of step away from the Lord. He's going to get out of the will of God. And God is going to take his spirit off of him and put it on David. So Samuel going to go and anoint David to be king. And it's going to be like 15, 20 years later before he actually get to sit on the throne as king. And it might be longer. It was a while. It wasn't like he got anointed king and then he was a king like a few weeks later. Like it was a while. It was some years. I want to say about 15 years, somewhere around like 15 years that he spent serving Saul. You know what I'm saying? In Saul's army, and then after a while, Saul got jealous of him. So then Saul was trying to kill him. So he spent 10, 15 years serving Saul and then running from Saul and going through all kind of hardships, having to sleep in the woods, having to sleep in caves. He had to go through all that before he finally got the benefits of God saying that he was going to be king. You know what I'm saying? Of him getting anointed king. So even though he got anointed king, he still had to wait for the benefit of being a king. You know, the same with Joseph. Remember Joseph, the Lord gave Joseph that vision that one day he was going to be the head of his brothers. And he was going to, you know what I'm saying, even his mom and dad was going to bow down to him. The Lord gave him the vision. And then what happened is he told his brothers about it. They got jealous and sold him to slavery. So once again, we're in a situation where the Lord showed Joseph that he was going to be something great, but he didn't become that thing until like 20 years later after being a slave and a prisoner for so many years. So you got to understand that the reward from that sacrifice is not going to always be there immediately. It's not going to always be readily available. You're not going to always be able to tell that, hey, the Lord got this for me. You know, sometimes I'm going to feel like, man, am I even making a difference? Should I even keep going? Just keep going. Because you're going to get your rewards. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you you're going to get your rewards. But when, I cannot say. I can't say it's going to be on this side of this door called death or the other side. I cannot say. Another example. I got some examples wrote down that I want y'all to think about. Abraham. You remember the Lord promised Abraham. He was almost 90 years old. Told him he's going to have a kid. And that kid was going to end up turning into a nation. And he's going to have descendants as many as the sand upon the sea. And remember, it was hundreds of years later before that actually came to fruition. Because even after Abraham was dead and gone, and Jacob went down to Egypt. When they went down to Egypt, still the Israelites was only 70. I think it was only 70, somewhere 70, 75. And then Jacob was Abraham's great-great-grandson. So it wasn't even until after, they went down to Egypt and like, sorry, excuse me, got choked up there. So it was after they went down to Egypt and started being oppressed by the Egyptians, hundreds of years later, before that finally came to fruition when they had so many descendants that it was like the sand upon the seashore. So the Lord made him a promise. He made the sacrifices. He was faithful to the Lord. He believed in the Lord, and the Lord counted it to him from righteousness. But he still had to wait to get those benefits of that sacrifice he made. In fact, he was dead. You know what I'm saying? He was dead in the ground before they actually became that nation that the Lord had promised them they would be. Look at Job. Look at what Job went through. Job had to suffer through a lot. He lost all his kids. He went from being the richest man in the land to the poorest man in the land within a matter of hours. And not only that, he lost his kids. Then his wife turned her back on him. And this went on for months. This wasn't just like a few days in a row. This went on for months. It was months that he was suffering. Then, eventually the devil, took his health away from him. This went on for months that he was suffering before, but he stayed faithful. Yeah, he questioned God. And God had to get on him about, like, who are you to question me kind of thing. So he had some questions and stuff like any of us would do. I can't put it past Job for what he was going through, especially after God himself said he was a righteous dude and eschew evil. I know I'd be a little disappointed too. Like, man, I know I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm serving God. Why is this happening? You know what I'm saying? But he endured through it. And after months of going through this torture that he went through, what happened? He got restored. He got the benefits of the sacrifice that he made because he stayed faithful in the midst of the fiery trial that he was going through. So you got to understand, it's going to happen. Keep serving the Lord no matter what. Like I said, I love this ministry. I love you guys. I love my 2-3 people that's here, every single Monday. Y'all see I'm still here prepared, bringing this lesson. I don't take nothing off of it because there's only 1 or 2 people here. Sometimes I'm in here and I can't even tell if anybody's in there. But I'm still here because I know somebody needs to hear it. I know somebody, it can make a difference in somebody's life because of the lesson I bring that night. And I might not get to see the rewards of putting this lesson together and putting this time into it, but God sees it and he real rewarded. He real rewarded. Like I said, whether it's going to be on this side of that door called death or the other side, I don't know. But what you got to understand is it's all about God's timing and not your timing. And when it's time for you to get your rewards, when it's time for crown wearing time, trust me, you will have that crown there if you stay faithful to the word. So that's it, y'all. That's it. That finishes it up right there. That's chapter 11 done. And guess what? It's only an hour and a half in. So I told y'all, short lesson. I'm spoiling y'all. I think I might have to go 3 hours next week just to make up for it. No, I'm just joking. But that's it. And like I said, I really just wanted to spend this time going through this with y'all because, again, I've been talking all this stuff about how important it is to be in the will of God and the success that comes from being in the will of God, which is all true. But you got to understand there's going to be some demands. There's going to be some demands. And since I got a little bit of time, I'm just going to run back to my list real quick of all the demands. As just a recap, the demands, things that you expect if you're going to share the will of God. So number one, there's going to be some opposition from this world. You know what I'm saying? The moment you decide to be serious about the will of God, that's when the world seems to start to fall apart. Number two, the price for compromise will be a heavy one. There's no room for compromise in the will of God, and compromise is the obedience in the will of God. Number three, you have to find yourself. You might find yourself standing alone. A righteous path is a lonely path. You might find you're going to spread the truth and stay in God's will. You might be the only one that's willing to do it. Be prepared for that. Number four, there will be sorrow. Jesus said himself, when troubles come, I'll be there with you in the midst. He didn't say if troubles come. He didn't say troubles may come. He says when troubles come, I'll be there with you in the midst. So if you're going to serve the Lord, you got to know there's going to be some sorrow. You're going to take some L's. There's going to be some heartbreak, but you got to keep going. Number five, because you are meek, you may be considered weak. I told y'all earlier, your gangster going to be tested. But don't let your meekness outweigh your anger. Let your weakness outweigh your anger. Don't let your anger outweigh your meekness. Don't let them get you to make an emotional decision and you do something brash and act in your flesh instead of your spirit. Number six, you have to be confident in your beliefs and your calling. You can be meek, but don't be weak. And we saw that with Saul. You know what I'm saying? You got to be confident. If you're not confident, the people are not going to follow you. If you're not confident in your salvation, there's no way you're going to be able to tell others about their salvation as well. So you have to be confident in your beliefs and in your calling. Number seven, you have to take on the problems and responsibility of others. And I told you, God's business is people business. So if you're going to do God's work, then you're going to have to get involved in the business of others. That's part of the ministry. So just understand that's part of it. It's going to happen. Number eight, you have to operate off of wisdom and discretion, not emotions. You can't get emotionally involved. You know what I'm saying? You get emotionally involved and you lose your wits about you. It's going to force you to make a bad decision. And when you make that mistake, it can mess up your ministry and it can mess up the work that the Lord has for you to do. Number nine, you can't take the rejection personal. You know what I'm saying? You can't save everybody. So there's going to be some rejecting there. You're going to be rejected, but they're not rejecting. Just realize they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the Lord. And then number 10, and one I just covered, you may have to be patient for your rewards. All this stuff that you're going to endure, all these points that you're going to go through that I just went through, all these demands that you're going to have to give into and to accomplish God's will. With all that, you still may not get to see your rewards till you go through that door called death. So that's it, y'all. Thank y'all for joining me. I hope y'all enjoyed that lesson. I hope it helps you, especially if you're considering what I've been teaching, the importance of getting into the will of God. Those are things that you're going to have to face if you're going to deal with the will of God. And I pray this will help you, give you kind of a foresight to know what's to come down the pipe. And because you have that foresight, you'll be able to avoid the traps and avoid being discouraged and get on the will of God when really God has a mighty work for you to do. So with that being said, if there's anything else that y'all want me to discuss, I'm going with my final announcement. Anything y'all want me to discuss, anything I haven't already, any topic I haven't already discussed yet, or story that you just on your heart and you really want to hear, you want me to do a lesson on it, inbox me, let me know. I will work it into the lesson plan. If I don't hear anything from anybody this week, right now, the game plan is next Monday, Lord willing, to start chapter 12. And like I said, it's a little bit of a different chapter than what we've been going on, but I haven't got into it to really break it down just yet. So just know, Lord willing, next Monday night, 7 o'clock, be back here, and we will go into 1 Samuel chapter 12. Keep sharing the videos, telling others about the videos as well. Like I said, this is all about building the kingdom of God and helping people get the information and the tools they need to be the servant that the Lord wants them to be. So please, I don't never make it private. None of my stuff is private. I get a lot of spam mail and stuff like that because of it, but it's never private because I want it for everybody. So if you know somebody that can benefit from it, or you know somebody that you think that would like to hear this or can benefit from hearing it, please email them or just send it to them or tag them or whatever. Let them know so the word can continue to get out there. Of course, we didn't talk about salvation tonight, but if you're not 100% sure out of all the stuff that I teach you, The most important, all the concepts I give you, the most important one is the salvation. It's the most important decision you ever make. So you're watching this video and you're not 100% sure that if you die right now, you will go to heaven. Please, please, please do not hesitate. Reach out to me and let me know. I'll schedule some time to get with you, to go over the plan of salvation with you and give you the wisdom you need to know to make the decision before it's too late and you go through that door called death. And as always, please reach out to me if you need any kind of spiritual counseling. You got any questions you have, if there's any question you have, just want to talk about the Bible, what God has done for you, whatever it is, reach out to me and let me know. I will schedule some time to do so with you as soon as possible and just share whatever wisdom with you that I have. And also one other announcement to all my lost sheep. Chris, I see you here. To my people from the lost sheep that would meet in person, we will be meeting tomorrow night, God willing. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at Revelation Baptist Church. If y'all need a ride, please reach out to me and let me know, and I will swing by and pick you up if you're within the route that I used to go down to Dixon and back to Waverly to pick my people up. And as always, if you want to check some of my older videos, some of the service, y'all caught one video in the series and then caught the other ones. The best way to find it is on the YouTube. I am about 3 weeks behind because, like I said, I'm just trying to get my computer figured out, make sure my brother didn't corrupt my computer, so I don't get my Facebook and all that stuff hacked and stolen. So, but for the most part, except for the last 3 weeks, all my videos is on here, youtube.com, God's Servant / Lost Sheep Ministries. Go in there, put it in just like it is on the paper. It'll take you to my page. Make sure you subscribe and like the videos, and that way you can be you can keep up with me whenever I post anything, if that's the way you prefer to watch the videos. So again, thank y'all for joining me this Monday night. I hope this lesson helped, and I hope it just, like I said, gave you kind of give you an idea of what to expect if you're gonna really get into doing the work of God. I thank y'all for being here, being faithful, my 2 faithful ones, and whoever else is in here that I can't see right now. I thank y'all, and I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna get out of here. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for watching over us tonight. Thank you for another opportunity to get in your word. Thank you for sending your spirit down upon my heart, giving me the want to bring these lessons forth, to share these truths with these people, Lord, that you've given me the responsibility to lead them towards you. Thank you so much for giving me the call, finding me worthy, thinking I was worthy, because I definitely didn't think I was, Lord, but you chose me to do this work. And I thank you for giving me the wisdom to accept the challenge when you gave me the challenge, Lord. And I thank you for almost 8 years. Matter of fact, next couple of weeks, it'll be 8 years that we get to celebrate 8 years of this ministry going strong. And I just thank you so much for it. Yes, we've had our ups and downs. We've had our highs and lows. But it's always been about honoring and glorifying you. And you've allowed me to be able to do that for this last 8 years. And I thank you so much for it. Thank you for all these faithful members, all these people that's willing to put their time in to listen to these words, Lord. I pray that it encourages their heart, get them the wisdom they need, discretion they need to make the decision they need to make so they can have a close relationship with you as well. I ask you to watch over this country, Lord, as we spend this whole month celebrating open immorality, Lord, and just help us open our eyes and help us to see how far away from you we've gotten, and give us the wisdom to turn our hearts back to you and get back on that foundation of your word that this country was built upon before it's too late and we go past that point of no return and we completely lose your grace and mercy upon our lives. Just watch over all those that's sick and need your healing hands upon them, Lord. I know this Wednesday I finally get to go in for the biopsy, the situation on my arm, and I'm feeling confident about it, Lord. I know whatever the turnout is, you're in control of it. But I know, Lord, that you got work for me to do. And if it's time for me to go, then I got to go. But if not, I know it's still plenty of work for me to do, plenty of things that I hope to accomplish. And I just know that you're going to let this outcome work out the way it needs to. But I'm going ahead. I'm going to go ahead and thank you for the healing, Lord. And thank you for helping me get through this situation. And I pray you put your healing hand upon anybody else that may be going through some kind of healing problems right now, health problems right now. Keep your healing hand upon them so they may be healed and they know that you did it because of your grace, Lord. I ask you just continue to watch over all us that's serving you. Give us your power, love, and wisdom over any problem that arises that may keep us from doing the work you have us to do. And give us the encouragement and enthusiasm we need to continue to go forward doing that work, no matter what our numbers may say, no matter what the world may say. Will help us stay encouraged. Give us the protection and resources we need to continue to go forward doing the work you have for us to do. And just watch over the world as a whole, Lord. Just continue to be with this world as a whole. Help us see how far we've turned away from you. Help us see how important it is for us to turn our hearts back to you before it's too late and we go past that point of no return, Lord. I pray for the day when the world as a whole, we will humble ourselves, pray, seek your face, and turn from our wicked ways so you may hear from heaven, forgive our sins, and heal our land. Thank you for this night. Keep us all safe as we go about this night, Lord, so we may get the rest in we need. Wake up in the morning ready to serve your purpose and your will once again. Let these words be used tonight to touch the heart of those people that's willing to listen so they may come closer to you, and just continue to use this ministry and this ministry members to do a wonderful work to honor and glorify your name, actually build your kingdom, and turn the hearts of this world back to you. Thank you so much for this night. Thank you so much for your blessings. Thank you so much for your healing. And we ask these things of you because you are the Jehovah Rapha. You are Jehovah Jireh. And I know, Lord, that just a touch of your hand can heal us. A touch of your hand can heal this land and can get all of us back to where we need to be. And I pray that you do so because I believe you will if it's in your will. We love you so much, very much. Thank you so much for all you've done and given. And I say this prayer in your wonderful Son, in Jesus' name. Amen. So again, thank y'all for joining me tonight. Chris, hopefully I see you tomorrow, buddy. And again, you need a ride, man, let me know. I don't want y'all walking down that highway. Give me a call, let me know. I will come by and pick y'all up. Miss Alicia, praying for you always. I hope you and that baby is doing okay. And like I said, next time in addition, I will stop by and give you a holler. But I love you all. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Continue to pray for me. Like I said, I go in Wednesday at 1 o'clock for my biopsy. And I know God going to do good things there. I'm not stressing it at all. Y'all see I'm still here bringing his word. I'm going to serve until I can't no more. But just y'all keep me in prayer. I keep praying for y'all. And remember to always watch your back and pray. So I love you all. Until next time, peace.